Hi everyone, how are you? I hope you are doing fine in your life. You are doing great in your life. As you can see the background, I am in a small hut. I am actually at my farm, and let me tell you a quick story why I am here. Yesterday night what happened is, you know very well that it's harvesting season going on in village. If you don't know about me, I live in a very small village, and that's where I have learned my English. Let me tell you that. So I am at my farm. Yesterday night what happened is it rained heavily and all the bundles of wheat in my field is wet now, and we are having trouble now to carry those bundles to my home. So that is why I have come here to make sure those bundles of wheat is dried or not. So that is why I am here. Today in this video I am going to tell you the easiest way to learn English at your home. So I was sitting here thinking about the ways, thinking about the strategies, thinking about the methods that helped me speak English fluently, that helped me improve my English fast. So I was thinking deeply about what was the one thing that helped me the most to improve my English. If I had to tell my viewers one thing that will help them speak English fluently, what would be that? And I come across with one method that helped me the most improve my English. That was listening. Yeah, listening was one of the most important thing that I did to improve my English. And why am I saying this? Because listening is the most important component of learning a language. How like remember, how have you learnt your mother tongue? Were you reading textbook to learn your mother tongue? Were you writing something or the other to learn your mother tongue? No, you were doing nothing like that. You were only listening to your parents, you were observing your parents, you were listening to people around you, and you started speaking your native language with broken sentences. You started with broken sentences, then you get into your school, and then you started reading textbook, then you started listening more and more to your surroundings, and that is how you have learnt your mother tongue. That is how you have learnt your native language, and that's the process of learning English too. So this is what I wanted to say you. Listening is very important for you to improve your English. Like, if you listen, like, I will highly recommend you to listen to this language every single day. Do nothing but listen to this language. I don't want you to speak this language every single day, because without too much listening you will lose context while speaking, and you might make a lot of mistakes if you do not listen to this language too much. So I will say you to listen to this language too much every single day. I have heard people saying that practice makes perfect. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. But what if the way you are practicing, or the methods that you are practicing with, the strategies that you are using to improve your English is imperfect? Those practices are never going to make you perfect if those practices are imperfect. So what I am saying here is, there is always a right way for everything to do. So in case of learning English, if you have to listen to this language every single day, what is the right way of listening? Yeah, let me tell you how I used to listen to this language to improve my English. So what I'm trying to say here is, I am trying to say there's a right way for everything to do. So in case of learning English, what is the right way of listening? I have seen many English learners making the same mistake over and over again. What they do is, they are listening to English podcasts, they are listening to English songs, they are listening to everything in English. But the problem here is not with listening to English podcasts or English music. The problem here is switching. What they do is, they switch from one podcast to another podcast to another podcast. They switch from one song to another song to another song. That way they end up learning nothing from the podcast they are listening. Let me tell you what I did to improve my listening skills. What I did was, I downloaded a lot of English materials in my phone, materials in which there were real conversations happening, and I used to listen to the same materials for the next 30 to 40 days, until or unless my mind observes all of the sentences that are being spoken in all those English materials that I have downloaded. So I was listening to the same podcast every single day for the next 40 to 50 days, until or unless I had learned all the sentences in those podcasts. You know what happens when you repeat something over and over again? Your mind gets used to that. You learn so much from that, and when you switch from one podcast to another podcast, you are learning nothing that way. What's happening here is you are forgetting things here, you are not learning. So the right way to listening is, I want you to download a lot of English materials in your phone, then listen to the same podcast that you have downloaded or same songs that you have downloaded in your phone for the next 30 to 40 days, unless or until you get all those things. So what happens here is you naturally learn. If you listen to English podcasts, English music the way I have told you to listen, what happens is your mind grabs things naturally. Sometimes you will surprise yourself by saying the things that you have never expected yourself to say, because your mind grabbed all those things while you were listening to the same thing over and over again. You never experienced something like you grabbed those all the things naturally, but you will say sometimes the things that you never expect yourself to say. Like, you know, this is what I said. You will never believe yourself, and that's the power of listening. That's the power of listening to the same thing over and over again. It's kind of being stored in your subconscious mind if you listen to something over and over again. Yeah, I have learned this from a book named Think and Grow Rich, which says if you repeat things every single day, if although all the things you are saying is wrong, your mind starts to believe all those things as truth. So yeah, this was the one thing that helped me speak English fluently, and I have told you my secret. Now you can implement this into your learning English, and this is going to improve your English drastically. I have seen those people who are only obsessed with speaking part, but you know, listening part is as important as the speaking part, because I have seen those people obsessed with speaking. They speak every single day, they speak with others, and there's nothing wrong with that. I am not saying that anything wrong with speaking, but what I'm saying here is you might lose context while speaking English without listening this language too much. If you don't listen to this language too much, you might lose context while speaking, and people are going to sense that you are not that good at speaking. So I am saying you to do both listening and speaking equally, so that you will be able to speak English fluently with clarity. And if you have any doubts, any questions related to English speaking, I want you to let me know in the comment section. While learning this language, I know, and I know this from my experience, you will frustrate, you will be desperate to become fluent speaker as soon as possible, but that is never going to happen. What do I mean by that? That will happen eventually, but that's never going to happen overnight. You have to be patient with that. You have to believe that I am going to speak English fluently one day, and that will happen. That is bound to happen if you keep practicing, if you keep practicing with the methods that I have told you to practice with, because those all things will connect at the end of your journey. So don't give up. In the end of this video, I will say that don't give up learning this language, because I was okay. There's a call.